Welcome back, folks. Here we are, back at the desk. My name is still F. He is still Adonis, but we're going to be moving on to North America. We just closed off the Titan versus London Conspiracy set, where Titan winds up with 2 kills, 2 wins, and we're going to see how Envy takes on Eager.
Pretty sure Titan had more than 2 kills.
Well, they had a whole bunch, just a little bit.
It's probably like over 35 or something. Probably 35 to 42, I bet.
I don't know. It was enough to keep me out of breath, but Envy going to be doing the same thing on their side, or at least they're going to try to. And we'll take a look at their standings as Envy stands on top of the North American scene here with a whole slew of wins, 20 plus, not quite there yet like Epsilon, but they're striving for it.
And Envy needs 1 win here to secure first seed for North America. Epsilon was able to do that just last week, but Envy dropping a couple games. Taking 1 game from Eager secures them from any tie breakers that Eager could have over them. So really, Envy just kind of looking to 1 here. There's some contention at the bottom with Denial, although they have to face Envy and Team Solo Mid, so it's going to be very hard for them to really pass COG. Right now, though, Envy versus Eager. Envy has been the team really running North America all Season 2 ever since the Spring Finals. Really only having 1 slip-up, I would say, at the Summer Finals when they lost to Team Solo Mid. And that was also a game that went all 5 sets.
And so here, Eager is going to provide a big piece of resistance. Now, historically, these 2 teams have actually been sister squads in the respect that they scrim almost exclusively each other. Coming into this matchup, preparing for it because of the implications on the season and seeding going into the going into the situation as far as Super Regionals is concerned, the teams took a step back from that. Eager actually opting to scrim Cloud9, so they have had some different experience going forward, not showing their hand to Envy. Eager, as we said before, they've got to win 2 games. Second place is not so bad, but they want first, and they've got to win 2 games to do it, but they'll be going up against Envy. We'll take a look at their lineup right now and see who they're going up against, and it's a powerful team.
CycloneSpin in the solo lane, Weekend in the jungle, KikiSoCheeky in the middle lane, Incon supporting Allied in the Hunter role. Envy right now is just the dominant team in Season 2 for North America. They have been the Summer Finals, or excuse me, the regular split for the Spring runners-up, the Spring Finals winners, the Summer Finals, or excuse me, the Summer Finals runner-up, and the regular season. There's too many of them.
There's too many wins to really
get
them
one or two every
up.
single time.
So we'll take a look at Envy, and they'll be going up against Eager, who has quickly risen to dominance. It's actually very interesting. Both of these teams have really seen a journey to where they're at now. DaretoCare, Lassiz, PolarBearMike, and Zapman make up the Eager squad, and Omega has joined them as recently as the beginning of this split. So Eager, Spring, Challenger team. Summer, middle of the pack. Here in the fall, they're in 2nd place and they're shooting for first. This team has seen a resurgence. Previously, a lot of these guys on this team have seen success historically, but not really in sort of the SPL era, Season 1, Season 2.
Not so much a season, Season 2, or even, you're right, Season 1. It was actually preseason when we saw the then Team Dignitas, the North American squad, was Zapman and Lassiz.
But now,
powerful. Now they're finally getting back up to the top. We're going to take a look at Game 1 of Envy versus Eager. Last time these teams faced off, they traded out wins, and it was actually kind of the start of Eager becoming the top 2 team, a top 2 team in North America. They were on a 5-game losing streak, outside of forfeit wins that they were able to take over Cloud9. And then they traded out with Envy, the then AFK Gaming, and then went on a 7-game win streak after that. This team is good. And it was, honestly, I think, the confidence that they just lacked. And after they were able to take a win off of their scrim partners, Envy, in their last match,
you want to talk about,
that's what got it for them.
And you want to talk about confidence. This team has been basically winning almost every single game since the Cognitive Invitational, in which they pulled out a couple of interesting picks. We'll see if they pick Naja this time around as we get into picks and bans for game number 1 of a 2-game set. Envy versus Eager. Envy with first pick.
See what they elect to ban out here. Naja. Envy's like,
well, there's
no.
the answer to your question.
There you
right
go,
off the top. No. Lotus Prince coming out for Eager, and largely, so this is actually worth speaking about. So Naja is a character that was looked as virtually unviable. Nobody, literally nobody played him up until we saw DaretoCare really take him out specifically against Circuits. And
And
that
Insters specifically, yeah.
right, and that expanded across the league. We saw Captain Twig play some Naja. We saw other junglers as well play Naja, not just as a counter pick to the Circuit, but just as a powerful pick in general. Because at the end of the day, Naja brings a lot to the table. So Envy, recognizing the power and the strength that Naja has had recently, going to go ahead and ban him off the table. All 4 bans are out. Naja and Sobek on the side of Envy. Eager says no to Sun Wukong and Circuit. So the first pick for Envy goes Odin.
I love Envy. You want to know why I love Envy?
Sure.
Because you never know what they're going to do. I don't even know if they know what they're doing half the time. So we see 2 target bans coming out from them. Naja taken away from DaretoCare. Sobek most likely taken away from Omega. We don't really see PolarBearMike run it too often. And then they draft Odin. I'm assuming it's to bait out a Hell pick because Eager can't risk drafting or not drafting Hell there. Additionally, Athena going to be going to PolarBearMike. And Envy, I think they were baiting the Hell.
So Hell's an interesting pick. We saw her over in Europe, but by picking the Odin, how does that really bait out the Hell pick? Because Hell will be shut down inside of Odin's ring. So why does Envy picking Odin really force the hand of Eager in that regard?
Because Envy are showing that they want to go the healer. They want to draft it. They want to draft the Hell. And so Eager, they either let them grab Odin Hell or they take the Hell for themselves. It's a really high-level, awkward strategy.
Yeah.
But Envy typically are drafting the Aphrodite instead of the Hell. And that one's going to Kiki, as well as they got the Khepri for Incon. This is a very tanky defensive lineup for Envy.
I expect to see a couple of hyper carries come out on the bottom side of things, and if I'm Eager, I'm thinking of banning a Kali or something along those lines, because that's what I'm afraid of. As you said, Envy has their sort of support squad already built up here. Envy is now looking for a hunter, and you could say jungler. I'm just going to say damage dealer.
Damage dealer. I think that's the key there. Hou Yi going to be drafted for Eager, going to Zapman. So a very high skill cap god that I think Zap's going to excel with, similar to an Uller. And then Eager, they're going to actually be banning away Nemesis. So afraid for that CycloneSpin Nemesis that we've started to see so often.
And he's been doing well on it. It's interesting. Nemesis has been played a couple of times on Envy by a couple of different players, so I understand where the ban is coming from. It's not a why would you do this type of thing, but I would be a little bit more afraid of just raw damage as opposed to setup damage that Nemesis really brings. She does damage herself, but largely enables other damagers, which is what we see on the board already.
Thor going to be locked in for DaretoCare. Envy looking for their final 2 picks. More than likely a soul laner, although that could be an Odin in the soul lane. Outside of that, they definitely need a hunter for allied. Jablanque still up on the board, and that seems to be one of the gods he defaults to quite often when he has to, although he actually used to run a very strong Medusa as well.
Sure. Freya would do well here.
Medusa, yeah, especially with how much protect they have.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of. The Medusa is sort of a mid-game type of hunter. Apollo and Mercury going to be picked up, so likely to see Odin. I would say likely to see Odin in the jungle, Mercury in the soul
based
lane.
On players,
exactly,
that is a weakened Mercury.
Yes.
Weaken absolutely loves Mercury.
Weaken's been talking about bringing Mercury back and back and back, but the last time we saw CycloneSpin play Odin, he got killed at 40 seconds by Omega.
The last time these teams faced off, yeah, it was funny, right? Because CycloneSpin, level 2, walks in a lane, pops his Raven Shield, lunges into the wave, and then Omega is like, what are you doing, bro? And then pulls him under tower and kills him at 45 seconds.
Yep.
Gives Eager a lot of confidence. And that's actually what they said on comms, like, they went into the game not necessarily expecting to win. And that's why I think confidence is so important for this squad, because these players play better when they feel like they're playing better or when they feel like they're a top-tier team. It gave their team the confidence to snowball into victory.
And Envy, very understanding of that fact. They're not going to give CycloneSpin the opportunity to jump into another Omega, although he's not playing Hercules this time around. We're going to see the Mercury in the solo lane, and you'll see Mercury is actually going to start off with level 2 of sort of the crit item. So basically that's going to be built. Yeah, that's going to be built into the golden bow, which is largely one of those god-specific items. We don't really see it on other gods than Mercury, but sort of why don't you walk us through why this item works well for Mercury, specifically in the solo lane?
It just works for any Mercury who's going to lane. We saw Snoopy utilize it back in Season 1 when he ran Mercury as a hunter in a dual lane. A lot of damage, and what it does is it basically turns your auto attacks into splash damage.
Right.
It hits creeps around or gods around there. And what Mercury does is he throws out his Mage You Look, and it actually procs like it's an auto attack. So it can crit, it can apply Frostbound, it can apply anything that an on-hit effect can.
Just like a Ratatasker.
Just like a Ratatasker dash, basically, with the Opal Acorn. So you're gonna be able to safely lane and throw out that auto attack. That's going to do damage to a minion and then splash damage with that golden bow.
So this Omega CycloneSpin matchup, as we just, it's so interesting because Mercury, again, a lesser played god. Love to see them come in and out of the meta. Mercury's going to be able to stop Omega's bludgeon. The dash, special delivery, will be able to come through, and it'll be problematic for Omega to really start that bludgeon up because he will be able to be stopped by that special delivery early on. As the match gets later and later, special delivery out of Mercury becomes a bigger issue because he stands still and is very vulnerable. But in the beginning, it's a perfect way to stop that bludgeon from clearing the wave.
Both these teams drafting pretty defensive compositions that more than likely want to make it into the late game. Weekend going to take a little bit of poke. Not going to hit the double tap, though. Going to be able to walk out of that one for now. PolarBearMike on his premier Athena, I would say.
Yeah.
Taking a little bit of poke there as well. Does he have any mana potions for this? He's actually dashing in. They're actually looking to pick Incon. Creeping Curse might keep him alive. There's the dash from Allied as well. That Hunter playing really defensive style, and this could get turned around. It is Zapman.
Allied kills his direct opponent. Zapman's going to go down for first blood, and the boys on Envy, they weren't letting up until the dash came out of PBM. So Allied responding correctly to the aggression by Zapman. No surprise that Zapman goes into level 2, but Envy able to capitalize, picking up first blood before the second minute even comes through.
CycloneSpin likely to play a pretty defensive lane here. Not going to really match up against Omega, I would say the best.
Yeah.
You know, he can interrupt the bludgeon, but it gets a little bit risky because then yours escape, and then Omega could simply dash you with the shield bash, slow you down, and then kind of just auto attack you to death. Yeah, he's more than likely going to have to save that dash to escape.
CycloneSpin now.
I like what he's doing. You can see he's level 4, but his abilities, he only has 3 points into him. He's actually holding it until he hits level 5 because he wants to put a third point into Mage You Look and level up his ultimate. He doesn't want any points into his 2 just yet. And there it is.
We largely see this strategy come out much later on, around like for the level 8, I believe. It's like 8 into 9 where you get your 5th point in whatever you're maxing. And it's rare that we see this skip here, but the second ability is very much a late game ability for Mercury. It's a steroid that will increase his basic attacks, which will melt players later on. But maxing velocity early won't really help him, especially in this direct matchup where he's trying to clear the wave as efficiently as possible.
He's just farming.
Yep.
This is CycloneSpin. I will be interested to see if he elects to go teleport. You don't typically see that on Assassins. They really like a lot of either defensive actives or an active that can increase their own damage. We could see a Heavenly.
Merc can always ult up the lane anyway, right?
Yeah, Merc actually gets bonus power based on movement speed. So Heavenly actually is very good for him. More power for its duration.
More power to him. Solo lane, pretty standard setup after the first blood going this way of Envy. Just clearing waves, clearing buffs, clearing minions. Nothing too surprising out of really anybody here in our 10 players on the map. Eager, go ahead and meet up in the mid lane. DaretoCare making his way onto the right side of the map, but largely just to make sure that these Harpies go the way that he wants them to on his team. Perfect timing as they just start to blink. Him and the mid laner will show up, and the ward goes out. So the hell is actually what I'm looking at. Lassiz largely plays gods like Poseidon and Ra and will build them straight damage. Do you expect to see that out of this hell?
I think we'll see a hybrid. I think he'll go primarily damage, but I do expect Lassiz to kind of go pretty tanky early. CDR boots probably into either a breastplate or another cooldown item. Mail of Renewal also very powerful. It's something that we'll see probably picked up from both teams because both these teams have a lot of survivability, sustain, and really just general tankiness in their team compositions.
Yeah, a lot of sustain here for sure. I don't think this is a... don't expect anybody to be bursted down.
Especially
really.
not with a Khepri, right?
Exactly. Mercury, probably the best character when it comes to sheer burst ability. But if you take a look on the other side, Lassiz is able to heal somebody up during that burst because it's not a single ability. It's largely a slew of crits that'll take people down later on. And with a well-timed heal, you'll just need double the amount of crits. So that could be an issue for Eager going forward. And again, Mercury, we don't see that much of him lately, but back when he was prominent, I mean, he was the hyper carry.
And he just does so much damage. He crits harder than anyone. Left-hand side, though, Allied got to get bursted down. Nice combo from all of Eager. DaretoCare taking a trip over there. I'm assuming he did not ult from the Gold Fury, considering there is a ward on there. Probably ulted from his own attack speed buff.
Yeah, that'll just about even things up. Zapman now trailing only by 200, but of course he's going to pick up this wave and get a little bit that Allied won't be here for, so should even things up with that kill. Very smart play coming out from Eager. And as far as the game is concerned, team versus team, well, I mean, it's not 0, but it just might as well be. 50 gold lead, 20 gold lead on the side of Eager. I mean, that is as close to a 0 lead as we get in Smite.
And first blood did go to Envy, so Eager responding with a kill that wasn't worth that 500 gold bounty. They've just been farming a little bit more efficiently, it seems. Kiki in a lot of trouble. His ultimate is going to get forced out of there, but it doesn't give him immunity for that long at rank 1. You can see he just basically used it as a beats there.
Yeah.
Not able to avoid that much damage.
Eager was able to hit from the right, the left, and the front side, and Kiki able to find himself safely away. That was very interesting. CycloneSpin gets in a little bit of trouble, uses his ult not just to control the Bellona, but to put himself underneath his own tower and go ahead and back to safety. So a smart 1-2 play coming out of CycloneSpin. No need to save the ultimate, really.
Oh, Kiki, return trip over to this mid lane. Instead, it's going to be Weekend looking to lock down Lassiz. PolarBearMike going to be charging his ult. Weekend realizing he can't fight that, jumps out. But it's Incon who actually rotated up top, who gets picked off. His ultimate was available, but he was still stunned. A good chain CC coming out from Eager there to lock down Incon. And that was just a little bit of miscommunication, I'd say, from Envy. You could see Weekend wanted to fight, Incon was coming to fight, and then Weekend jumped out of his cage, and then Incon was kind of caught in between 3.
Just stuck too far up. Khepri, it's interesting. Would you say Khepri? Oh, hold that thought.
His ult is down too.
Up. And DaretoCare is down right on top of CycloneSpin, and with some damage from the solo laner, CycloneSpin is down, not permanently, but he'll be gone for 25 seconds on the bench. So good gank out of DaretoCare. But my question to you is, Khepri, Abduct. Do you call this character mobile?
More mobile than other supports.
Right. So you're not quite Ymir, but I mean, I wouldn't say highly mobile, because just like Athena, you can sort of like interrupt the dash should you stand in front of him, etc. So he was just sort of stuck in the middle of the lane, and that created some issues for him early on for that kill.
Yeah, he falls there. Eager, though, right now, DaretoCare all over the map, finds 1 kill and 2 assists, and when I say all over the map, I mean all over the map. First he locks down Allied over in the dual lane, and then he locks down Incon, who rotated to the mid lane, and then immediately takes a trip over and kills CycloneSpin with the help of Omega. Right now, Eager is in full control of this game, and Envy, they clearly want to go to the late game. They have the Apollo for the split push, they have the Khepri Afro, a lot of heals, and then they have the really hard hyper carry in CycloneSpin's Mercury that his goal is to farm up and just do a lot of damage late game. Most notably trying to just one-shot Lassiz on the hell, but so far, he's been forced back.
This Mercury pick for me is what I call classic CycloneSpin. CycloneSpin there's a couple of different methodologies when it comes to playing in the solo lane, and AFK CycloneSpin, or Envy now, CycloneSpin, very sort of standard in the sense of what I call the oven player, where you stick him in the solo lane, and then 20 minutes later, ding,
Bacon.
You've got a fully baked, fully cooked solo laner.
Oh, look at this.
And right now,
he's not going to have time to cook. He needs to charge his ult, but it's not going to be. There's a long wind-up for it, and he can't get it off.
Just barely missed.
Good
just
job.
A hair off.
No, I mean, that was almost on him, right? I'm assuming he didn't hear the Thor, but there's actually a very long wind-up time on to Mercury's ultimate. You know, you could use it quickly and get a short dash, but if you want to really get away from ganks, you got to start charging it early.
And what we saw as he died right there, it wasn't even about the like wind-up time. It was about the execution time. When Mercury, once you click, once you decide that you want to go, Mercury sort of pulls his arms back and then dashes forward, and that's what we saw right there. CycloneSpin opted for a shorter dash, but was killed before he was even able to dash because of that wind-up, the sort of like pre-fire of the ability. So CycloneSpin's going to go down there, and he's going to suffer his second death. And sort of what I was talking about, how CycloneSpin is the quintessential, I'll see you at 20 minutes solo laner. Eager knows that, and because of that, they're paying heavy attention, and they're going to try to keep this Mercury down, because a Mercury with 2, 3, 4, 5 deaths is not that scary later on in the game if he has trouble building the items.
He picked the Odin really to get his team through the early game, but so far it hasn't been that successful. The one ult we've really seen him use was on the Lassiz, where he immediately had to jump out because Eager responded to it. They have this double global and PolarBearMike's Athena and DaretoCare's Thor, and they're utilizing it very well. Not really to protect the Hell, but more so to shut down the hard carries that EnVy has. Allied has found a death, Cyclone's found a death, and now his blue buff is getting stolen by Omega, who has that mystical mail online. It is actually impossible for Cyclone to do anything in this lane now.
Down comes the ring out of Odin. DaretoCare is going to find himself safely
out
of it. Lassiz is going to go ahead, Aegis, and use some help from
CycloneSpin. He's in a bad spot. He actually ulted way too deep. Beads are forced by him from just a single taunt, and those are beads 1. CycloneSpin has opened himself up for another 3 minutes to die.
Bellona on the right-hand side of the jungle. EnVy doesn't seem to notice that she's there. Team Eager has good positioning if EnVy pushes up, but they don't. So Eager will stop
EnVy don't really want to force anything right now. Allied's actually split pushing. He has the Apollo ult available, so they are very confident in the fact that they just can sit under tower. Even if they lose farm, they get a tower. Eager recognizes that as well. Zapman jumps back to his lane, although lost a couple creeps for it.
I like that. Allied doesn't push up on the tower. He knows where the enemy's going to come from. Fires a couple of basics into the jungle abyss. And the Gold Fury is going to be started by EnVy. Ward is here, so Eager knows exactly what's going on. Blinking in his PolarBearMike. Down comes the sun out of the hands of Zapman, and that's going to go ahead kill the Gold Fury, and over the top comes the Bellona ultimate. KikiSoCheeky is only dead if he didn't have the ult from Khepri, but he does. The Aphrodite lives another day. Different story for Allied, though, as Zapman cleans that one up. Taunted into the damage. PolarBearMike kills the jungler. Weaken suffers another death on the side of his team. So 2 die on the side of EnVy. All 5 stay alive for Eager. The Gold Fury, however, Gold Fury goes the way of Eager.
Can we actually take a look at the graphs here? A 4,200 gold swing for them. Fantastic play across the board. Right now, Eager, they're in full control of this game. They're not going to allow EnVy to get to this late game, this really defensive and tanky late game style that they've drafted up. And you can even see, you know, Kiki forced the ult from Omega's Eagles rally, and then immediately Omega uses Bludgeon, and that ult from Aphrodite just does not give you that much immunity early on. It's only, I believe, 0.5 seconds at rank 1, and it scales up at, you know, once you're level 20, the ultimate's doing a lot, but early on, it's just not enough to keep you alive and avoid that damage.
A large part of what's really driving Eager for me is the jungler here. DaretoCare, I mean, constantly an engine for this team, just running them. 100% kill participation right now. And we've seen fantastic performances out of our junglers, both in Europe and North America today. And really, this is the power that a jungler can have on a game. EnVy hasn't been able to really step 1 foot in the wrong direction without Thor showing up in their lane and just destroying them.
A lot of this late game, assuming Eager doesn't really snowball it too hard here, is going to be coming down to Lassiz not getting bursted by the CycloneSpin and Weaken combination of locking her in that ring, locking Hell in that ring, and then having the Mercury just kind of 1 or 2 shot her with some big crits. So that's what I'm looking at, and I almost want to say that Lassiz should go Combat Blink. I know it's pretty early to decide that, and you can actually see that Lassiz has only got 1 defensive active so far, but I think that's something he should look into.
Taunt going to be off the mark from PolarBearMike. He tries to get a little fancy, and it doesn't pay off. Abduct is strong on to PolarBearMike by Incon. And down on the backside, DaretoCare lands. Weaken's going to force him out with a good jump over the top. And now the teams are back on their right-hand sides. Here comes Allied down. CycloneSpin charging. CycloneSpin looking for the perfect ultimate. Up, down out of Omega. He's going to get a single stun as the ring from Weaken falls. The rest of the team fight continues.
Khepri ult.
Incon looking for more. Khepri ult is strong and gets his target. Zapman's ultimate will hit as everybody moves out of the way, but Omega picks up the life of Incon. Now we're swinging the way of EnVy as 1 kill goes the way off of CycloneSpin, but 2 players are dead.
Kiki's out of mana, though.
4 players still here. Omega gets the Scourge kill. Kiki falls. 1 dies on the side of Eager, but it's a support. Support for 3 players? I'm sure most teams will take that. Eager wins another team fight. EnVy does find their second kill of the game, but unfortunately they still trail by 7 total kills. CycloneSpin shows his face here, Kevin, but I'm not sure what EnVy can do. They'll push the players off the tower, but that's about it.
Dash going to be missed by CycloneSpin there, but that fight for me, a lot of it came down to the healers. You saw Lassiz sitting in the back line, able to keep his team healthy, but you know his heal is AoE. It hits multiple targets. Meanwhile, Kiki on the other hand, while his heal is powerful, the Lovebirds just aren't doing enough to the team, and you could see Eager kind of forced multiple players to. They got multiple players incredibly low, but Kiki wasn't able to keep them all healed up, and really just ran out of mana.
Yeah, I mean, we see that a lot. That's a lot of the conversation when it comes to Aphrodite, is that she's linked to a single player, can only really affect one. There are strong fringe cases where you can actually ultimate 2 players, but that's when the ultimate's fully leveled up. You know, that was interesting. When CycloneSpin got a kill for EnVy, I immediately thought the fight was going to go swing in the other direction. CycloneSpin stayed alive. It was Incon, Kiki, and Allied that suffered the deaths, but a large part of that weekend was not able to really provide in that team fight. We saw the ring come down, and it controlled the fight for a little bit, just enough time for EnVy to sort of like slink away. Cyclone got a kill, but Odin wasn't able to impact enough to follow up off of that kill.
The Odin was drafted to really control the early game for EnVy, to allow the Aphrodite and the Mercury to get to late game, as well as, you know, the Apollo and the Khepri. But so far, I feel like EnVy has drafted a little bit too much into the late game, where the rest of their gods just aren't that effective to help benefit the Odin. And so far, they've been suffering from it. Eager taking a nice advantage from that, recognizing that they have the early game power, especially with the direct matchup with Bellona versus Mercury. Mercury can't really fight into bruisers, especially who have picked up Frostbounds and Mystical Males. They're using that direct matchup and allowing DaretoCare to make big plays.
DaretoCare shows the hand, but there's the blink in and the taunt. Eager not here to follow up off of PolarBearMike initiation. He's going to be grabbed for it, but Eager, they've got Thor in the air. DaretoCare choosing where he's going to land. Dare misses Incon, stuns out Weaken. Weaken now the target, still has jump available. Going to use it defensively most likely. There he is over the wall and grab out of Incon onto Omega, who's going to go aggressive and goes directly onto Kiki. There's the ultimate out of PBM. Incon going to help out from the right-hand side. Allied going to help out from the left, but Omega does claim the life of KikiSoCheeky. Incon tries to get another pull. Dare might have overextended just a hair. The tower cleans that up. CycloneSpin gets credit for that one. Suns will make the team disengage, so Zapman uses the ultimate to force EnVy off of the case. DaretoCare goes a little too deep and does trade his life, but Kiki falls.
EnVy there, they were able to trade out a kill, but they were so weakened from that engagement that Eager going to walk straight to the Gold Fury and look to secure it. Incon making sure PolarBearMike is locked in place for now. Weaken though, it looks like he blinked in a little bit too early. The rest of Eager are on to Incon. It looks like Eager as a whole are on to different targets. Lassiz is able to pick up Incon at least, and it looks like they don't want to turn their attention to Gold Fury just yet. Just going to take that free pick and walk away.
Well, Lassiz gets credit for that one, but the double bounce was going to claim the life anyway. Zapman actually, before Hou Yi was buffed, now he's seen a rise to prominence because of the recent change to his ricochet. But before that balance change came into play, Zapman really liked this character. He thought there was a heavy upside to it, as did I. So Zapman has been playing this character almost since release, and some of the plays that come to mind when you start thinking of highlight Hou Yi plays are off of the hands of Zapman. I mean, he had a triple bounce with the help of a Ymir wall earlier on in the season, and that sort of stuff, that's impressive. And when it comes to Hou Yi, a very heavily execution-based god, that stuff is very important.
That is not an EnVy play. That is a team that is scared. Did you see Allied
how quickly the beads came out?
So, like, the Tectonic Rift completely missed, and Bellona really didn't have much. And even if she used Eagle's Rally to stun Allied, it's a very readable move. I mean, Allied literally panic beads. Yeah, I mean, Allied panic beats, and that's not something we typically see from EnVy. We haven't really seen them this far down early in a game, all split long.
Exactly, and I mean, that's really the key. They're 19 and just a handful of losses, and it's very easy to say, hey, we have 3 losses, we're the top of the crop, but I mean, this team has shown they're mortal, they can be beat, and EnVy, this is their direct scrim partner, so Eager They know a lot of their secrets. This is a team that you got to be careful of. Eager's very strong. They're number 2. This is the number 1, number 2 matchup. Watch out.
I mean, they traded out wins earlier in the split.
Uh-huh.
The last time these teams faced was actually the first loss that the then AFK, now EnVy, suffered in the split, and it was kind of like a thing, who's going to go undefeated during the fall split? Is it going to be Epsilon, or is it going to be EnVy? Now, of course, neither of these teams were able to be undefeated. Getting back into the game, though, Eager starting up this Gold Fury. Incon trying to play spoiler, but getting focused down by DaretoCare.
DaretoCare gets a couple of basics and
double
tap. DaretoCare in the sky, Allied on the floor. Down comes DaretoCare. Khepri ult has already been used on Allied, and PolarBearMike claims the life of Incon. Allied and Kiki on the good side of things, and Allied's going to claim the life. But PolarBearMike cleans up, takes out Weekend. 4 members still alive on the side of Eager, while only 3 remain on to EnVy. You've got a CycloneSpin, a Kiki, and an Allied. So this Gold Fury is not free. Allied in some trouble. Going to go ahead and grab some damage. No bounce out of the Zapman, so Allied will fall to the hand of Lassiz, though.
CycloneSpin just trying to disrupt the team and allow Kiki to get out. Not going to happen, though. Slowed to death from Mega Shield Bash, who is level 20 right now at the 19-minute mark. CycloneSpin going to be trying to contest Gold Fury, maybe. Without his ult, though, it's unlikely. Omega's going to be playing zone. These fights, though, I mean, we've seen 3 or 4 team fights. Weekend, though, I mean, look 667 damage. Incon has 4,700. Birdbomb does a lot. He has not been connecting his abilities from the looks of it.
Well, so far, every single Gungear's might, with the exception of that last fight that I've seen, has just missed.
We are 20 minutes in, and Weekend has 667 damage on Odin.
I mean, this is a player that, this just goes to show you, everybody's got bad games. I mean, Weekend has been a fantastic asset for EnVy, but in this game, he has done absolutely nothing, really. There was a ring that helped extend a fight in the left-hand side maybe 10 minutes ago. And outside of that, I just haven't seen anything from Weekend. And when you have this type of output, Kevin, on a jungler, I mean, you're fighting 4v5 here. And that's why it's 4 kills to 15. Eager is just showing up with a full team, and Weekend trying his hardest, not able to do anything. And that's a real big issue for EnVy going into the late game.
EnVy, 3-man splitting their back harpies, kind of what they're into right now. How deep they are into this ruin. When you have to really split your back harpies with that many players, you know it's going wrong. You're not able to or freely, I would say, farm into lanes at the threat of the ganks, especially against DaretoCare's Thor. Tier 1 is down in the mid lane. Tier 1 is down in the right-hand lane. Incon, level 11 at 21 minutes. The team as a whole is just so far behind.
CycloneSpin staying relevant. He is behind his solo laner by 2 levels.
Oh, Allied. Look at him. He's getting pinched from below as well. You could actually see Lassiz rotating in with PolarBearMike.
It's not a pinch, it's a clamp. There's an entire team showing up, but a very quick mez gets him safe.
That's going to be a Tier 1 tower, though, and now, Eager continues to control the objectives. 22 minutes in, they found 3 Tier 1 towers, as well as the Gold Fury. They're pressuring this left-hand side, and DaretoCare is just playing spoiler. He actually forces 3 players to him, but he has a semi-global ult and can just get away. And in the meantime, Eager are just taking this Tier 2 on left uncontested.
Incon's here, not much he can do to prevent this onslaught that Eager's about to come around the side from. Weekend jumps in the middle, but drops the ring, doesn't get a lot of damage out. Incon's going to fall on the side of Zapman, and down goes Weekend as Omega claims his life. Weekend was able to do about 600 damage there. 500 damage in that last engagement will double his damage, so Weekend that time sort of made the play, but he's just too far behind now. Now it's a numbers game, Kevin. I mean, EnVy, they finally made the right play, but the numbers aren't there.
Cyclone needs to come up big here. He needs to get an RNG crit. Can't find it, though. Yeah. Lassiz finds the kill. And right now, Eager, they're up 18-4. They're not going to pressure the Phoenix. They're playing a very respectable game. They're waiting for the wave. They have Lassiz not at full mana, but at full health, able to keep the team alive. Kiki and Allied, the only ones left to protect. And Kiki's going to be taunted in, locked in place. There's the res from Incon, keeping him alive. DaretoCare getting very low. Incon locks down that one. PolarBearMike pretty low as well. Can Allied find the kills he needs? He's finding the auto attacks. Looks like EnVy, they're actually able to fight back into this one, and Allied's taken to the sky.
Very aggressive play. Allied looking for Lassiz. Lands down.
They need this kill.
Gonna hit him. Linked up with the Aphrodite. Dashes forward. Gets the mez. Waits out the Aegis. Couple of basics. Hell's gonna heal up. But with the ambush, that's gonna be the kill. Allied combines for the number 6 kill on the side of Envy.
Still down 9,000 though. Eager in full control of this one. Envy, they really need to utilize this time where both Lassiz and DaretoCare are down and farm up, pressure the enemy's jungle, and just try and catch up. Going to Fire Giant,
I like this call. I like this call.
Eager's
DaretoCare is down. Lassiz is down. You've got an Omega that's a really big threat. Omega and PolarBearMike and Zapman. These guys are huge threats for this situation, but if Envy can get this off, they're back in this game.
Kiki actually just bought Teleport 3, I'm pretty sure. I don't think he had it before. This is Envy's last stand. They are saying that this is the point that they need to turn this game. Allied, he actually pulls off a Fire Giant. They're trying to lock it down PolarBearMike, but PolarBearMike is so tanky. Meanwhile, DaretoCare, he's come back to life. Allied, he's going to be the one focused down. DaretoCare comes crashing down. Allied gets res. CycloneSpin does take out PolarBearMike in the back.
Down.
Omega over the top, though. They're trying to kill Allied, and they finally do. Zapman's rotated back in. Kiki left alone. He's going to die. 3 dead on the side of Envy. Only 1 falling for Eager.
That was an all-in, as you said. I mean, and I liked the play by Envy. Go for the Fire Giant. They pulled off to try and kill PolarBearMike, but, I mean, you highlighted it. He was so tanky. Great wall coming out of DaretoCare. A couple of basics coming out of CycloneSpin. Isn't enough to kill. Weekend shows up. No damage out of the Bird Bomb, but CycloneSpin able to confirm the kill anyway. Here comes Omega porting into a lane ward just dropped by Zapman. And all of a sudden, Eager has a squad ready to fight again.
10,000 in the lead is Eager right now. They're able to extend their lead by about 1,000 off of that last engagement. But these fights, or these last 2 fights, have been so incredibly close. Can we go back to the builds real quick? Because for me, it's Kiki. He invested so much into buying a Teleport 3 just for that last engagement that now he only has beads as a defensive active. He's not going to be able to go Heavenly. He's not going to be able to go another Weakening Curse to shut down Lassiz, and he's not going to be able to pick up Shell. There's a lot of actives that he would rather have halved. Now Envy can't grab those.
It's very true. Again, I think it was a situation that Envy sort of got forced into, and I think they chose correctly. Eager here, choosing to go for the Gold Fury. Should fall no problem, and it does. So at 26 minutes in, 21 kills on the side of the number 2 seed team Eager, number 1 team in North America. Envy, they just have 8 kills, and they're trailing by over 10,000 gold. Ooh. Envy's going to engage on the tower, and DaretoCare is going to engage onto 2 members from the enemy squad. Couple of basics and a good stun. That's going to send CycloneSpin and Incon packing, and they're going to walk away.
You can see that CycloneSpin had his ult charge there when he was glowing,
just
making sure no one was going to be able to rotate and find that kill. Envy, right now, it's kind of the catch-up game for them. Weekend and Kiki, you know, 26 minutes in, only level 16. Incon at level 13 right now. They just are trying to make sure that Eager doesn't get a larger lead. More than anything, you know, they're happy with no engagements for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and I think it's on to Eager to force them.
It is up to Eager to force them largely. I mean, Envy will play. Envy will sit back and wait, and Eager wants to force these fights, as you said, and that's pretty much what we're seeing out of them. You see a 3-man grouping up here, and DaretoCare and one more will head over to the right-hand side. So thank you. We're going to get a good look at both of these engagements. Eager's going to split, and you see PolarBearMike here, ready to help whichever lane needs it. That's a 3-on-3 in the mid lane.
They don't know he's there. CycloneSpin going to dive deep, not connect. That's a big ultimate that's now not up, and his beads 1. Are they beads 1? No, they're beads 3, but they're forced out just from a taunt.
DaretoCare lands down, cuts off the exit from Incon. He's going to be rooted, but he'll be largely
That's all of Khepri's abilities down right now, though. And you can see Envy, they're actually being the aggressors. Weekend jumps in, he uses his ult, and then jumps out.
No zoning coming out of the side of Envy. Tower goes down for Eager.
Look at all these actives that PolarBearMike is forcing out right now. Beads, Heavenlies, Beads, another Blink, Weekend jumping in. PolarBearMike seems to be their target, but Weekend has no ult.
Taking a lot of damage. Down comes the stuns. Raven Shield's going to save the life of Weekend there.
this fight for me is really in favor of Eager. I mean, they haven't used that many actives. Envy are almost out, and they have the hell to keep them alive. You can see Omega just sitting in the back line.
Incon grabbing Omega might be a problem. Not quite, says Eager. Jumping in is weakened, and PolarBearMike and the rest of the squad, they'll take him out. Now Eager is all in, foot on the gas pedal, ready to go. Down comes the middle lane. Ultimate on a CycloneSpin. He'll live for just a second. Him and Incon will get out. Allied won't. Omega claims
It's
the
gonna be a
life of that
Phoenix.
one. Incon and
Easily.
CycloneSpin, the only ones alive, really can't defend against 5 members of Eager.
There's going to be multiple Phoenixes. Unless they really want to go onto the Fire Giant after this, no one is spawning on the side of Envy for 20 more seconds. You can see CycloneSpin throwing out those crits onto Omega, just barely tickling him. Eager right now, they're in full control of this game. Lassiz is out of mana. However, he has the Lotus Crown, which provides a significant amount of NP5. He's going to be able to at least throw out some more heals. Eager, they take the one Phoenix, they back off. Their next target is that Fire Giant.
I love the Lotus Crown onto Hell because it just adds another...
DaretoCare has no mana. CycloneSpin
He'll
and
be
Incon, though, they're a little bit wary because they don't know where anyone else is on the map.
Now, DaretoCare turning around might not be fine, but if you kept walking that direction, I think he'd largely be fine. But so this Lotus Crown on the Hell, this is one of my favorite picks. It just adds another line of text to that ability. The ability already says it's going to heal you, it's going to give you movement speed, and now with the Lotus Crown, it's going to give you protections as well, right? It just gets another line of text onto that heal. And with the Hell, I mean, we just saw it in that last engagement. The entire fight is just... We're going in, and Hell is just constantly popping out these heals. And with that Lotus Crown available, it just allows Eager to stay even more so in these team fights.
We can trying to get the counter ward or win that counter ward battle. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to. Forced back, as you can see, PolarBearMike rotating in there. Oh, that's just a normal Eager ward. They didn't even want him to like counter it. They couldn't even recounter it. They're just like, no, no, we can.
Take a look at Omega. He'll back. He does have teleport available, so he'll be back in the nick of time if there needs to be a fight. Envy, largely spread out here. Majority of Team Eager concentrated around the Fire Giant. Allied all the way across the map.
Eager is so tanky. Like, as a team, all these players have built very tanky. You can even see DaretoCare immediately after Yo ends, going into the Mail of Renewal. After that, High to the Ocean have a lot of health, a lot of defense, max cooldown reduction for him. And then PolarBearMike, he's always going to be tanky. Omega has 1 damage item in that Frostbound, and that's really a hybrid defensive item. You can even see his last item, right? He's like, he has so much physical protection. Can we highlight Omega right now and see how much physical protection he has? He's probably near cap. 273, 325 is the cap. So weaken, CycloneSpin, Allied, not really going to be doing a lot.
Damage coming out. CycloneSpin in a little bit of trouble. 2 ultimates forced. Dare in the air. Dare on the ground. Stunned out his CycloneSpin. And no more aggression. Down comes Athena, crashing on top of the Odin.
Weaken's just going to be dead. Allied, he's in the air, and you could see these crits coming out from CycloneSpin, but it's just not enough. Even if he does the damage, Lassiz is going to heal him up. Envy, as a team, they have no burst in their composition outside of CycloneSpin finding those big crits, and the fact that Eager has stacked so much physical protection, the only one he's going to be able to go on is Zapman, and as long as Eager can keep him protected, there's nothing CycloneSpin can do. Fire Giant started up right now. We're going to have a quick pause in the game, and then we'll bring it right back after that. Looks like Incon having a couple connection issues.
So a huge amount of physical protections being built on the side of Eager. And largely, I mean, you take a look at it, Khepri, damage is negligible. You can just write that damage off. It's just a Guardian. Now, Kiki on the Aphrodite's usually come out with a surprising amount of damage. But you take a look at the build here. It's Fire Giant is collected by Team Eager. Allied, stuck out. Wall. That's toast. Allied's going to go and die right there. But here's the thing. When it comes to Aphrodite, I mean, the build coming out, breastplate, cooldown boots, I mean, Soulstone helps out, but there's not a lot of magical threats here, honestly, on the side of Envy. So Eager can build into straight physical like Omega has, and it's working out.
Blinken by PolarBearMike finds 2 to lock down, and over the top, Omega, he's going to stun 2. Stuns are coming through. DaretoCare, perfect wall locks Kiki away from his fountain. It doesn't look like Ear are going to be able to combo him down, but the Phoenix on the right-hand side is already down. 5,000 health on 50%. The Titan. It looks like Eager are going to come out, and I wouldn't call it an upset at this point, but they are going to cleanly defeat the top team in North America. EnVy, and EnVy now 2 weeks in a row dropping a game. Eager, they're looking pretty strong.
Well, we said Eager, if they want a shot at #1, they have to 2-0, and they're definitely on their way. Making the right moves, Eager collects game #1 against the #1 team in North America. EnVy, we'll take a look at how it all started.
This was actually a very nice combo by EnVy. You could see Incon get focused out, but for me, it's Allied. That perfect little dash there actually knocks the players from Eager up, and then they're able to turn that one around and find the first blood. But really, one of the only kills they had.
Yeah, very few kills coming out. And again, I mean, largely, Omega going to be our player of the game. Turning up fantastically for the side of Eager. 6-0 and 17 for the solo laner. Really came out to play, and a lot of it had to do with this situation right here. Omega into DaretoCare. Every single time.
Every single fight, Omega seemed to just single out one player and then focus them down. A lot of times it was CycloneSpin. Sometimes it was Kiki, and he did a phenomenal job of sticking on his target or turning around when his team needed help. And he just got so far ahead that he could just tank up. And a lot of the carries, right? It was a very defensive style game, or a defensive style team composition from EnVy, where they wanted to make it a late game. They had a lot of healers and a lot of protection, but all their hard carries were physical. We saw it at the end. Omega hadn't even finished his build, and he was at 273 physical protection.
Yeah, and
I mean, what is CycloneSpin or Allied going to do to that?
If I'm not mistaken, there was an urchin on him, but outside of that, that was pretty much all of the magical damage, all the magical defense. I think the urchin was maybe on
that was on DaretoCare.
It was on, it was on DaretoCare. So I mean, just not a lot of thought being put into the magical defense. As I said, I mean, Khepri, not really somebody you're going to build defensive against. So really able to go really in that one direction. So Eager really coming out to play. Wouldn't be surprised. As a matter of fact, why don't we take a look? Who's the top players as far as Alpha Draft is concerned?
Probably Omega and DaretoCare. They really actually no, it's Omega and Zapman. DaretoCare sitting in the middle. DaretoCare playing support boy more than anything, I guess. But I mean, across the board, perfect execution from all of Eager. And I would say, you know, there's a lot of talk about like, oh, Ares is so deadly from ahead. For me, though, the most deadly support from ahead is an Athena, because what Athena can do is just constantly pop beads without much risk. Because even if you miss your dash, even if the enemy team turns on you, they don't have the damage to lock you down.
Right.
And that's what we saw PolarBearMike do. There were so many blinks into taunts, into dash into taunts, and even though it's a very basic combination, what it does is it forces out all the defensive actives from the enemy team, and then once your team really wants to hard initiate and hard engage, they don't have those up anymore, and you know, they could be locked down and chain CC'd properly. So great play from all of them.
The initiations came out of PolarBearMike, and a lot of the control came out of Omega. But what I really was looking at here was Lassiz. As I said, as we sort of got into picks and bans before, was, you know, largely we see the Poseidons, and even when the Ra's come out, it's straight damage, right? That's what we see out of Lassiz, and I guess I could say I question, you know, how is this situation going to go with the Hell? He went full support and really like changed his methodology in that mid lane, and I was excited to see how quickly he was up to the task of switching things around from his normal playstyle, and it was very effective.
I think the best way to describe really how much Lassiz has matured from the summer split is in the summer split, all he would do is build Blink 3 on Poseidon, or he would just build a very aggressive Blink 3 every single time, because that's what he does. He likes to just blink in and do damage, and you know, that's really a fun kind of play style. And you can have a lot of, I would say, outplays with that. You could really make the fancy thing, but that's not always the best active that you need, and we really haven't seen the same thing from Lassiz. We've really just seen very solid play and very calculated. This is my job on the team.
Right.
I'm not going to blink Kraken every second, and you know, I'm not saying that was bad. I just think sometimes there's better options, and he just kind of was set in his ways. Lassiz and Eager right now have matured together since the summer split and become this top teams in North.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the best teams in North America.
Players definitely get into a certain play style, and it's very exciting to see Lassiz is able to play multiple play styles. So, as I said, really known for just bringing damage and straight aggression. This time around, he goes and opts for the Hell. Eager is going to be